Man dies in suspected electrocution at Taoyuan viewing platform. Taipei police captain probed for corruption. Taiwan falls to Iran after blowing 21-point lead. Serbia clashes amid anti-government protests. Crypto crash king, Kwon pleads guilty to fraud. Evergrande to be delisted in China housing crisis milestone. Wildfires displace thousands across southern Europe. China's young unemployed adults pretending to have jobs.
Hello, I'm Helen. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. It is Friday, August 15th, Hawaiian Shirt Day, and here are your top stories. And for today's Taiwan news, a man was found without vital signs after a suspected electrocution at Datong Mountain viewing platform in Taoyuan district on Wednesday night, sparking a forest fire. New Taipei firefighters said power was cut for the rescue, but the man was pronounced dead. The blaze has been extinguished and police are investigating the cause. Chen Juming, head of the Wenshan 1st Precinct's criminal investigation team, is under investigation for alleged corruption. On August 14th, prosecutors along with investigators and police searched his home and office before questioning him. He was transferred to the Taipei District Prosecutor's Office at 9:30 p.m., remaining silent as he entered for further interrogation. Taiwan's men's basketball team, bolstered by overseas star Chen Ying-jun, Lin Tingqian, Liu Zhen, and the Hinton brothers, reached the Asian Cup quarterfinals for the first time in 12 years. They nearly advanced to the semifinals, but squandered a 21-point lead against Iran, losing by 3 points. Players were visibly disappointed after the game. And in global news, clashes erupted between Serbian anti-government protesters and supporters for a second day in a major escalation after more than 9 months of persistent demonstrations against autocratic President Aleksandar Vučić. The president's supporter repeatedly hurled flares at protesters in the northern city of Novi Sad, near the office of Vučić's ruling Serbian Progressive Party. Protesters then smashed office windows as riot police were deployed outside to guard the building.
Interior Minister Ivica Dačić said at least one policeman was injured and called for the return of law and order. Thousands more gathered in other parts of the country, including the capital, Belgrade, where riot police used tear gas to disperse groups of anti-government demonstrators in one part of the city. Demonstrations were also held in the central towns of Kragujevac and Kasic and the southern city of Niš. There was no immediate word on whether there were injured protesters on Wednesday. The student-led protests in Serbia first started in November after a train station canopy collapsed in Novi Sad, killing 16 people and triggering accusations of corruption in state infrastructure projects.
A South Korean former tech executive, accused of helping to spark a cryptocurrency crisis that cost investors more than $40 billion, has pledged guilty to 2 criminal courts of fraud. Kwon was the boss of Terraform Labs, which operated 2 cryptocurrencies, TerraUSD and Luna, both of which collapsed in 2022, triggering a wider sell-off in the crypto market. The US says he was responsible for the failure of the 2 digital currencies, accusing him of orchestrating a multi-billion-dollar crypto asset securities fraud.
As part of the plea deal, prosecutors have agreed not to seek a sentence longer than 12 years. Kwon is due to be sentenced on the 11th of December. Todd Snyder, appointed by U.S. authorities and Terraform Labs to oversee the company's liquidation, said Kwon's guilty plea underscores the importance of accountability in the digital asset sector. He added that those responsible for the collapse of Terraform Labs will be held to account by the firm and that assets will be recovered in the best interests of claimants. Kwon initially fled South Korea after a warrant for his arrest was issued in 2023, eventually ending up in Montenegro, where he was arrested and jailed before being extradited to the U.S.
The The severely indebted real estate developer, China Evergrande, already in the process of liquidation, said it will be delisted from Hong Kong Stock Exchange on August 25th. Evergrande was the world's most heavily indebted real estate developer, with over $300 billion owed to banks and bondholders. The court ruled that the company had failed to provide a viable restructuring plan for its debt, and trading of its shares has been halted since the ruling.
The Chinese territory's rules stipulate that the listing of companies may be cancelled if trading in their securities has remained suspended for 18 consecutive months. China Evergrande Group received a letter on August 8 from the Hong Kong Stock Exchange notifying the firm of its decision to cancel the listing, as trading had not resumed by July 28. The last day of the listing will be August 22, and Evergrande will not apply for a review of the decision. Evergrande is among scores of developers that defaulted on debts after Chinese regulators cracked down on excessive borrowing in the property industry in 2020.
Wildfires intensified across southern Europe, prompting a round-the-clock battle to protect the perimeter of Greece, with at least 3 deaths reported in Spain, Turkey, and Albania. Outside the Greek port city of Patras, firefighters struggled to protect homes and agricultural facilities as flames tore through pine forest and olive groves. Tall columns of flames rose behind apartment blocks on the outskirts of the city, while dozens of vehicles were torched as flames swept through a nearby impound lot.
As water-dropping planes and helicopters swooped overhead, residents joined the effort, beating back flames with cut branches or dousing them with buckets of water. Firefighting resources were stretched thin in many affected countries as they battled multiple outbreaks following weeks of heatwaves and temperature spikes across the Mediterranean region. On the Greek island of Chios, exhausted firefighters slept on the roadside after a night-long shift. Aircraft rotated between blazes in the Patras area and on the island of Zakynthos. Athens also sent assistance to neighboring Albania, joining an international effort to combat dozens of wildfires.
No one would want to work without getting a salary, or even worse, having to pay to be there. Yet paying companies so you can pretend to work for them has become popular among young unemployed adults in China, leading to a growing number of such providers. The trend comes amid China's sluggish economy and weak job market. Chinese youth unemployed remains high at more than 14%, with real jobs increasingly hard to come by. Some young adults would rather pay to go into an office than be stuck at home.
Such operations are now appearing in major cities across China, including Shenzhen and Shanghai. Often, they look like fully functional offices and are equipped with computers, internet access, meeting rooms, and tea rooms. Rather than attendees just sitting around, they can use the computers to search for jobs or try to launch their own startup businesses. Sometimes the daily fee, usually between 30 and 50 yuan, includes lunch, snacks, and drinks. An expert on the Chinese economy said, "The phenomenon of pretending to work is now very common. Due to economic transformation and the mismatch between education and the job market, young people need these places to think about their next steps."
The answer for yesterday was B, detention. The police ordered the detention of the suspect for further questioning. Did you answer correctly? Now, let's delve into today's news. Wildfires displaced thousands across southern Europe. Number 1. Perimeter. 周边, 边界. The guards patrol the perimeter of the military base. Number 2. Spike. 尖状物, 骤升. There was a sudden spike in electricity demand during the heat wave. Number 3. Outbreak. 爆发. The outbreak of the flu caused many schools to close. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comment section. The correct answer will be announced next week. Hawaiian Shirt Day began as a cheerful nod to Hawaii's rich clothing tradition. It traces back to the 1930s when local tailor Ellery Chan began selling colorful printed shirts at his family shop in Waikiki. He called them Aloha shirts, and the style quickly caught attention. These shirts mix bright colors, island themes, and loose-fitting comfort, making them perfect for warm days and relaxed vibes. And that's all for today's FUNDAY News. Be sure to tune into FUNDAY News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join FUNDAY for free. I'm Helen, your host. I'll see you next time.